Hey, this is Sasha, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Stocks. And in today's episode, we're going to take a look at some mindsets. We're going to look at trading goals versus trading intentions. And we're doing this because we're going to be releasing a new book soon that's all about mindsets and the mental side of trading, the inner game of trading called Mindsets of a Master Trader. So be sure to get on the newsletter list by clicking the link in the description below, or if you're watching this on our website, then scroll down and you should be able to see a link to be added to our newsletter list. So let's get started in this week's episode of looking at trading goals versus trading intentions. So I think goals are very interesting when it comes to trading. A lot of people set goals and they're pretty easy in the sense of because they're numeral, right? There's numbers that are attached to goals. And it's what we're trained with by a lot of, let's say, the leaders, the people who are pushing you to be better. Hey, you got to be able to do 5 times your gross revenue. 5 times. Well, what's your goal? Well, it's $1,000. Well, you should be able to do that 5 times better now. Or how do you improve it? Well, you're making, let's say, $300 every single day from trading. Well, how do you improve that by 5%? So, these goals, when it comes to a number-based thing that you're doing here, that's trading, they're very, very black and white because they're all numbers related. And that's good on one hand because you can really see, hey, did I hit the goal? Okay, so you can say, hey, did I hit the goal? Or not. So it's kind of a binary situation, and the answer is going to be either a yes or a no. Now, on one hand, that's good because then hey, you're accountable. Did you hit it or did you not? Did you make your $1,000 this month or did you not? Did you make your $50 this month or did you not? So you're really accountable for it. But the downside of that is goals will constantly shift, right? So goals are constantly changing, and they should also be evolving, right? So they're growing. So as you grow as a trader, you're growing your goals. Those are increasing. Your account should be growing. Maybe you're struggling, so you need to fine tune your goals. And it's difficult in the sense of, well, if you're not hitting your goals, then you kind of feel like a failure. So there's the other approach to this that I like looking and thinking about, and that is looking at intentions. So intentions, when we look at intentions, it's much different than goals. It's kind of like your desire of what you want to accomplish internally. A goal, a lot of times when I look at it, it's external, right? What did you make? What did you hit? What's outside of your control? And that makes it very difficult. So take, for example, a dancing competition. So if you have intentions and we look at a dancing competition, your goal, when we look at dancing, your goal might be to go ahead and get first place in the competition. Now, this could be gymnastics as well. But any kind of event where, you're being judged or you're trying to compete in the sense of that's not clean cut, right? It's somebody else's opinion. So when you're looking at a dancing competition, who performed better, who had better lines, who was more on beat, all of these are subject to someone's interpretation. And it's very tough to really say, hey, did he get first place? Did that couple get first place? Or did that couple get second place? I guess you might have experts evaluating, but it's tough to really say that. Now, when you look at intentions, they're much different. So if we look at goals, well, if you didn't get first place, you're a failure. If you didn't get second place, you're a failure. If you didn't get third place, you're a failure, right? So if you're looking at all of these things just on the goal side, well, you didn't hit your medal or your mark or your placement, but those were not in your control. What about when we look at intentions? Well, let's say you're dancing. Well, the key question is if you evaluate yourself, were you better at hitting the beat than you were before, right? So that could be one way of looking at things. Were you able to land that move that you were working so hard on that maybe you couldn't do in practice as well? Were you able to do that quite well? And if that might be a yes or no, right? So now you're looking at things that are more internal to you. Were you able to do those things and accomplish those things? And if you were, then now you've kind of won and you're successful. Whereas over here, well, if you got second place and you didn't get first, you kind of already are a loser. And that's sometimes can play on you psychologically, which is not always the best thing. Now, if you want to go even more internal, right? If we want to even go deeper, well, you could really just say, hey, well, rather than looking at placement, look at doing the things that'll get you to placement. What are the things that you need to do to get to first place? Well, to get to first place, I'm going to say, well, I need to practice 5 times a week. I'm going to put in, I'm going to also go, I need to build up my cardio for dancing. So I need to go running. Okay. And I need to go ahead and make sure I get a coach to evaluate me at least 3 times by 2 different coaches. So a second coach, so they can evaluate my moves and what I'm doing right or wrong. I need to probably also make sure that I'm looking good. So maybe I need a seamstress or a stylist or whatever to overlook things. So all of these things now are in my control, very direct control. Now, if I still don't get first, if I did all of these things and I did my list, I was successful. Now, you might say, hey, well, you still didn't get first place, but at least you're making progress. And this is the way I want you to start thinking about it, is that, hey, you know, these external goals are great. And sometimes it pushes people to hit, hey, I got to make $1,000 a month. I'm trying to hit $50 a month. I'm trying to hit $100 a month. Whatever your goal is, and even if you're shooting bigger, 50,000 a month, 100,000 a month, whatever your case is, that's all good and great. But if you don't hit it, are you feeling like a failure? Are you struggling? And the question is are you doing the right internal things to reach those goals? And that's a little bit more important to me, because for me, when I looked at doing and trying to hit these goals, I always felt like a failure. The goals kept moving. The goalposts kept moving. You're always trying to hit more and bigger. Instead, now what I try to do is look at, hey, am I putting on the whatever number of trades that I want per week or month based on my current living situation? Am I managing them correctly? Am I adjusting them at the appropriate times? Am I waiting too long, or am I doing them at the right time? So now you start looking at the internal concept of it. And if you're doing the internal things correct, eventually, maybe not in the first competition or not the first few trades or the first few months, you're going to be successful, but maybe a few months later. And then eventually you keep getting more and more consistent, more and more better. And that starts to build up, and you start, in a way, winning more of those dance competitions. So that's what I want you to think about when it comes to goals versus intentions. And if it helps, start focusing on what's your intention, because now you can control it and you can focus on it. And rather than focusing on your goals, and eventually the goals, the external things that you set up, will be the result of doing the right internal things. All right, so I want to thank you so much for joining me in this week's episode. I hope you learned a little bit of something regarding goals versus intentions, and I hope it helps you achieve those external goals a little bit better. Now, all of these things we cover in my book, and even more, many other more things that are related to the mindsets of becoming a master trader. There's going to be some things in there that you're going to think about on how can you improve internally. It's all about the inner game of trading. And if you want to get notified when this book is released, get on the newsletter list by clicking the link in the description here or on screen, of course. And that way you get notified when I release new products, courses, books, and even maybe some discounts on some material that we release. Thanks for joining me. And in the end, remember, do what you love, contribute to other people, but most importantly, live life abundantly. I'll see you next time.